All right. Hello, everybody. Marcus Guiliano here, restaurateur, do a bunch of things. But right now, I am the host of In the Weeds, Real Tales from the Restaurant Industry. JR, tell us about yourself.
Hey, yeah, good morning. So I am a restaurateur. I am a local consultant and all-around kitchen guy. I've been doing it for about 20 years. I own and operate the Noble Dog here in Birmingham and help consult for the Good Soil Restaurant Group.
Awesome. So the Noble Dog, what is it? A restaurant, food truck, hot dog
So
joint?
so we're actually a mobile food cart. We do different pop-up events. We do brewery pop-ups. We do charitable events. We do all kinds of different things, office lunches all around Birmingham, but we specialize in doing artisan grass-fed hot dogs, pasture-raised pork kielbasa's. I've developed my own special recipe for a veggie dog. And, we've really tried to harness the power of marketing and branding to really set us aside from any other kind of hot dog operation in Birmingham, since the city has such a rich history with that type of food.
I was going to ask, why should people come to you? But you just told us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I saw some vegetarian items on your menu too.
Yeah, we do. We do a lentil chili. We do a lot of handmade toppings. We do 4 signature sauces. I partner with about 3 or 4 different farmers in the area who are good friends of mine that I've worked with for years. And so we try to make the experience nostalgic, but uplifting and kind of at a different level than you've ever had for a hot dog.
Awesome. 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 Love that. Comfort food, refined.
Exactly. It won't leave you dragging.
All right. So how long have you been in the industry?
So overall, about 20 years off and on. Here in Birmingham, I've been a chef in Birmingham since 2010, and we've just launched the Noble Dog back in May of this year.
Awesome. So what's your biggest failure in the industry?
I gave this one some good thought, and I would have to say hiring. After it was all said and done, I've been at the top of the ranks and at the bottom of the ranks. And anytime I've been in charge of hiring, I've had a couple instances over the years where somebody might have looked really good on paper, or they might have just sweet talked themselves into the job and they didn't pan out. And it can really set you back, especially when they're in a position of responsibility, like a sous chef, for example. That's my best. I hired a sous chef once that just kind of took me for a ride, and it really kind of put me back and made me have to jump back into the kitchen in a way I wasn't prepared for at the time.
Yeah, staffing, huge issue in this industry. All across the board, staffing's huge. So what's your one? Do you have like a go-to question, or how do you judge an applicant? Because anybody can put anything on paper, right? They can be whatever they want on paper. So is there a certain question or a certain characteristic you look for?
So I had a chef do this to me when I was interviewing for the executive sous chef position at Metro Prime. It was a fine dining steakhouse in Birmingham. I had the normal resume stuff. I had the normal application, but then on the back, there was a culinary quiz. I mean, it was stuff like, how many quarts in a gallon, how many ounces in this, how do you convert this to this, what's a bechamel, name 4 types of mushrooms. Like, it was just like a very basic quiz, but as I was taking it, I was like, this is brilliant. Like,
awesome.
Like it was a really cool way to like to really call out a wolf in sheep's clothing really quick, just by a few simple questions that only somebody who's been doing this long enough would know. So I kind of adopted that trick, and it's really helped me kind of weed through people pretty quickly.
I love that. See, this is why I do this show, because I learn stuff, right? I'm just one of those dedicated life learners. I'm going to start doing that today. Awesome, I'm going to have my assistant start doing that. That's awesome. I love that. My one question is, like, besides them being alive, like, you have to work weekends and holidays.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing how many people don't realize that. They're like, oh, hey, boss, it's New Year's Eve. I need those days off. I'm like, no, man, like, no one gets that. No one gets the entire week off leading up.
Yeah. And I always ask them, so, like, any family vacations, weddings, anything you guys got planned in the next, like 6 months or so? Because, these kids come to you that you hire, high school students. And they come to you and say, oh, we're going on family vacation for half of July. I'm like, I just hired you, dude. I just hired you. Like, I just trained you.
But boss, it's my birthday. I don't get my birthday off. No, man,
Yeah.
get back in there.
Yeah. So, it's crazy, but I love that. I used to be like, you used to hire people and you're like, well, make me a hollandaise sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And, nobody makes hollandaise sauce anymore anyway, no matter if they're qualified chefs or not. So that's like down the drain, no pun intended, but it's just like, yeah. So I just have to expect that when we do a brunch with hollandaise on it, like once or twice a year, that I'm making the hollandaise sauce.
Exactly. And that's usually what I did. Mine was aioli. I'd say, make me an aioli. And if they broke it more than twice, they wouldn't get the job.
All right. Let's talk about one of your biggest successes.
It would be the Noble Dog. To take it from a concept to our first event in about 8 weeks, like even my wife and I, my wife, Taylor Clark, she's the director of recruitment and growth for Rev Birmingham. And we actually met when she had her own program called the Urban Food Project years ago that helped aggregate local produce and goods into the city centers of Birmingham. And but we had this idea. We started visioning it. We started putting it together. I found the card. I customized it. We had everybody local in Birmingham, from LG Creatives to do all our branding and our logos. We had J-Rag, who did all of our wrap on our cards. And, we pulled everybody that we knew from Birmingham to help kind of pull this off. And we did our first event not shy of 8 weeks from having the initial brainstorm of the idea.
Wow. So 8 weeks from thought process to actual opening the door.
Yeah. To our very first event.
All right. This is impressive. I think that young entrepreneurs, wannabe entrepreneurs, need to listen to this. You took massive action from thought process to opening your door in 8 weeks.
And we did it for under 10 grand.
See, this is great. People keep waiting for the right time. Is there ever a right time?
No.
It's like having kids. Is there ever a right time?
Nope. It just kind of happens.
You just do it and you figure it out, right? So yeah, it's like business. Just open it up, figure it out.
Yeah, and there were stumbles along the way, and there were things there were hurdles. There were things that happened really easily, and there were things that took every bit of that 8 weeks to execute. And it was just you keep redeveloping your to-do list. Everything gets a priority. Everything gets a checkbox. And as you can check things off, things start bumping up the list. And you just have to be flexible with what you're doing.
Cool. Yeah. No. Awesome. What great way to take action. So, in all of your years in the industry, what's the worst thing you've seen somebody go to ER for, or yourself?
So I've got two, and I'm sure everybody can relate to the second one. The first one was me. So this was actually 2 days before Valentine's Day. I was at Little Savannah Bar and Grill. I was the chef de cuisine there, and we were prepping, getting stuff ready for Valentine's Day. And I took a bread knife right through the end of my index finger and took a good about 3/8 of an inch chunk out of the front of my index finger. And I'm a very stubborn person, don't like hospitals. So I grabbed the end of the finger and wrapped it in a rag. And at the time, I lived probably 20 minutes away from the restaurant. But my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, lived about 5 minutes away from the restaurant. So I called her up. I was like, I need your help with something. I go over to her apartment. I've literally got like a bloody stump and a rag, and she's kind of freaking out. And if you knew her, she doesn't do well with that kind of situation and blood. But she sucked it up and held it down, and we got some liquid glue, and she popped me open a beer, and we started gluing this finger back together, and we got it to quit bleeding, got it glued back together. And it's Friday night, by the way. So we're doing this in a rush, and we get it all wrapped up so I can go back to the restaurant and finish dinner service. At the end of that night, I took her out to dinner, and it was then, well, I'd already knew by then, but after that moment, I was like, yep, I'm going to marry this woman. I said, you win. And the second one was years ago when I was 1 year out of high school, and I was working for a buddy of mine's brother who was executive chef at the Beach Club Resort and Racket Club in Gulf Shores. And we were cleaning up. We'd already pulled the mats up, and this kid walks down the line and slips and goes to catch himself on the edge of the fryer and the edge of the cooler. He slips off the edge of the fryer and goes elbow deep into a fryer we had just turned off. He wings his arm out of the fryer and slings oil everywhere and just screaming, buddy. We grab every rag we can find and start blotting his arm. And we had to rush him. Blake, the chef, had to rush him down to the hospital, and he had 2nd and 3rd degree burns from his fingertips all the way up to his elbow. It was nasty. You could hear his arm sizzling when he slung it out of the fryer.
Oh, man.
It was gross.
Oh, ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. All right, next question.
I've seen some good ones.
Any standout excuses why an employee can't come to work?
Well, there's always the standard ones, like kid's sick, I'm sick, this or that or the other. I had one tell me his car caught on fire, and I've had a couple tell me they were arrested. They used their one call to call me at the restaurant to tell me they had gotten arrested, and someone had to go down there and bail them out.
Yeah, I had that happen too. The kid didn't show back up until till payday. He was gone for 5 days, worn out for my arrest. I'm getting arrested right now, boss. Turns out he was out catering a so-called lucrative event that weekend for himself.
Moonlighting on you.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. I was like, it's not going to work out here. And then 3 out of the first 4 weekends he wanted off, and if I couldn't give him off, so he just had an excuse. I was like, yeah, all right, it's not going to work out. Last week, one of my employees comes to me and goes, I've got a family emergency. I said, not that I'm not sensitive, but you're the 4th person this week with a family emergency. So I'm just sorry, but I have to run a business, and I'm sorry I can't sympathize with you. What hospital do you have to go to? Oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, okay, so you'll see your family after the shift then. She goes, yeah, I can wait till after the shift.
We have the worst around here. Being in Alabama, everything is Auburn or Alabama. And come football season, everybody gets just hit really hard. Restaurants take a nosedive when football season starts, especially on the weekends. But you would not believe all the family emergencies that happen on Saturdays during football season.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really? Man, there's a lot of clumsy people on Saturday, huh? Alabama starts at 2:30? Yeah, I bet.
So, have you ever kicked anybody out of a restaurant? A guest?
Yes, I have. Well, they were already on their way out, but it was a scenario where I asked them very kindly and bluntly to never come back. We had a 10 top and this was at a restaurant I worked at years ago, and they ran this little girl ragged. I mean, they just everything over and over and over. We need more of this. We need more of this. We need more of this. And they get their bill and everything. They pay in cash. She brings back it, and it's just like a couple bucks and some change, right? And their bill was a few $100s. And they'd leave nothing. And she just comes back in the kitchen. She is just mad and crying and whatever. And I come off the line. I grab their tip jars. And as they're heading out the door, I walk out through the front door and I said, hey, excuse me. I said, y'all come back here, please. And they came back and I was like, y'all enjoy everything tonight? And they said, yeah, it was great. And I said, excellent. And I grabbed the guy by the wrist and opened his hand and poured his change back in his hand and closed his hand. And I said, I'm glad you enjoyed everything, but you can keep your change and please don't ever come back.
Boom. Boom. Yeah. The guest always isn't right. Just in my view, the guest always isn't right. And I've got stories like that too. And one time I they tried to use 2 coupons, 2 offers, brand new restaurant. I was consulting, tried to use 2 offers. I was there in the house. My daughter was actually helping out too, and told them no. They got pissed off. They enjoyed their food, walked out to them and said, how old are your kids? That's my daughter there. She's 17. You just gave her $1 for a tip. Imagine if that was your daughter. So she's in tears right now. You ran her ragged all night and you left her $1. That girl's in tears right now. And that's not fair. And they walked back in and gave her more money.
Well, good. I mean, if you've got enough money to go out and eat, then you need to have enough money to tip.
Yep. You just can't use 2 coupons and try to beat up a restaurant. Can't do it. Can't do it. Everybody has terms and terms. So, so of course, that's like it's the guest's always right, and we covered that. Guest is not. Guests have to be trained. Guests have to be trained, and and I blame myself when the wrong guest walks in because I did the wrong image, the wrong branding, the wrong marketing. So I'm like, okay, I'll take this one on myself. The guest is out of place. I miscommunicated. Even though it's not always the case, I just like to take responsibility for stuff.
It's all about expectations, right? There's expectations for the staff. There's expectations for the food. There's expectations for your clientele. Everybody.
I just got a 1-star review on Yelp. and she says her mahi mahi wasn't sesame crusted. Well, the mahi mahi isn't, the ahi is, not the mahi.
Hey man, you got to know how to read.
You got to know how to read. Yeah, you got to know how to read. Expectations, reading.
Man, don't get me started on Yelp, buddy.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask next. Is what's your thought on review sites?
I'm not allowed to read them. They have a place. They have a useful place, but the anonymity behind these kind of sites is its own detriment. So much when people feel like they can hide behind something, whether it's social media or it's these review sites, things like that. When people feel like they can hide behind a screen, they are much more fierce and much more free with their words than they would be if they had to talk to me or someone in my restaurant or somebody on the staff or you. Like they will say things and act a certain way that they would never act in regular society. And for that reason, I don't like them. Now, for the sharing of ideas and for the sharing of knowledge and photos and like getting other people to know about your restaurant, it can be very good. But like I said, I'm not allowed to read them because I get upset. I get upset at the good and bad reviews. Sometimes the good reviews are too boisterous and the bad reviews are just too harsh. So I try to stay away from it, and I try to just look at what useful pieces of information can we gather about our clients? Where are they coming from? How often do they come? Who's reading these posts? How many likes did certain things get? How many, those kinds of things we'll look at, those kind of dynamics of it. But I don't put a whole lot of stock into the actual words.
Cool. Good advice. They can make you crazy, make you sick almost. And I think the more passionate we are about our business, the more upset we get.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is our baby. It's our baby. And and we got to suffer because you don't understand what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And
this is coming from people who have never been anywhere close to the restaurant industry in their life.
And they would never say it to our face.
Nope.
No. And if they did, I'd fix it. I would have brought her the ahi and got rid of her mahi.
Yeah.
I would have done that.
Yeah. If you had the courage to tell me why you were there or bring it up then instead of hiding behind your phone and blasting me like that, All
right. So what's more important, good marketing or good food?
So one hand washes the other. You can have the best food in the world, but if no one knows about you, you're going to have the same 6 people coming to your restaurant every day. You can have great marketing and drive a huge crowd, but if your food is subpar, if it's crap, or if you've oversold it, then people just aren't going to come back. And that's in a city like Birmingham, it's so prevalent. We have a huge food scene in Birmingham. It's exploding like never before. In the last 10 years, I've seen the different boroughs of Birmingham, and I credit organizations like Rev Birmingham for their revitalization projects they've done. What we've seen in places like Avondale and Lakeview and Homewood, and these different boroughs of Birmingham. The food here is just amazing. And you have it anchored by, great James Beard award-winning chefs like Frank Stead and Chris Hastings. And, that these guys have disciples. I mean, they have guys that for years that have been coming out of their kitchens and opening their own places. So you see this new place open, they'll be busy. Buddy, they are gangbusters for 6 months. And then because something new else just opened. So they may still have really good food, but the marketing has to take another shift. They have to pivot and start almost a different marketing technique to retain those customers, that first 6 months worth of customers, and then reach out to a new group of customers after that.
Yep.
A steady flow of clientele.
I totally agree with that. And this is what we teach our coaching students. This is what we implement in my restaurant. Database, build your database, keep working it, because there's somebody out there somebody else is going to outmarket you. And a lot of people think, I got good food, they were in once. No, they're going to forget about you. They're going to go somewhere else because something else is new, hip, trendy, better. It's better marketing. It's better marketing. Mm-hmm. It's what it comes down to, because you wouldn't be in business for so long if you had bad food. It's just that's only going to run you so long. So if you've been established, your food is decent, people will come to you. You got to let them know you exist. It's a lot of chefs. Us chefs are stubborn, And we think that, hey, our food is good enough. And every chef who I've ever met that says, I don't need to advertise or market is out of business.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what happens. And yeah. So
if you don't have butts in seats, man, I don't care how food your good is. I don't care how good your food is. If you don't have people in the seats, who knows?
Social media is your new location.
Yep.
That's what it is. So, all right. So what's the one advice you would give to a new restaurant owner, somebody thinking of opening or somebody who just opened, first month open?
It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Trust me. Every day feels like Dante's Inferno, and I promise you it's going to get better. Prioritize what has to be done. Look at, put out fires with grace, and just keep going, man. Just keep going, because it is going to get better.
Awesome. So drop your website. Where can people find you?
So our handle is the same across the board. You can find us. Our website is the Noble Dog Bham. That's also our handles on Facebook and Instagram.
So the Noble Dog Bham, like BHAM.
Yeah, Bham. So that's the acronym for Birmingham. So yeah, Birmingham. So Noble Dog Bham, and then you can find all of our calendar of events. You can find all of our catering information on the website. There's a catering questionnaire that if you fill it out, it emails directly to me, and I reach out personally to you to set up the events. And then everything, all of our promotions and stuff is done through Instagram. So you can see where we're going to be, photos, collaborations, tags, all of that is done through Instagram. Awesome. Sounds good.
All right, JR, thanks for sharing your tales for In the Weeds. We appreciate it. And if I'm ever down there, I'm coming to get a dog.
Please, man, bring it on. I'm telling you.
Awesome.
I know you New Yorkers, man. Y'all have a big reputation on dogs. Come on down to the south.